There is a moment most people never want to face. A moment buried under years of loyalty, shared history, and love. The moment you realize that the people standing closest to you are the ones costing you the most. It might be family. It might be a friend you have known your entire life. But something changed. Their presence got heavier. Their words started cutting differently. And every time they leave the room, you feel like you can finally breathe again. The Stoics taught that your first and greatest duty is to protect the state of your own mind, not out of selfishness, out of wisdom, because a mind at war with itself cannot build anything worth having. Today, we are going to examine 8 undeniable signs that a relationship, no matter how much history sits behind it, has crossed into territory that demands distance, not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity, self-respect, and the most dangerous kind of harm doesn't leave a mark. It works slowly, quietly, in the form of a raised eyebrow when you share an idea, a smirk when you talk about your goals, a comment disguised as honesty that somehow always lands like a blade. Belittling rarely arrives as a shout. It comes as sarcasm, as unsolicited advice that talks down to you, as comparisons designed to remind you of your place. You share something you're proud of, and they find a way to dim it before you finish the sentence. They call it being real with you. They call it keeping you grounded. But notice, their version of keeping you grounded never helps you grow. It only keeps you low. The cucumber is bitter, then put it away. Brambles in the path, then go around them. That is all you need to know. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Marcus Aurelius understood that the behavior of those around you is their problem, not your identity. Someone who must constantly shrink you is not operating from strength. They are operating from scarcity. Belittling is insecurity wearing the mask of tough love. It is envy using your ambition as a target. The real danger is not the insult. The danger is what happens when you accept it as normal. You begin filtering your excitement before you speak. You stop sharing the dreams that matter most. You start living smaller, not because the world demanded it, but because one person's discomfort with your potential convinced you to stay within their comfort zone. That is the real crime. A person who values you does not need to reduce you to feel stable. If someone makes you feel like a fool every time you dare to dream out loud, the most stoic thing you can do is withdraw your access, not with fury, but with clarity. Respect is not earned back through tolerance. It is commanded through distance. You know this type. Every mistake belongs to someone else. Every argument started because you overreacted. Every consequence traces back to bad luck, bad timing, or bad people. Never them. It is never, ever them. People who refuse accountability are not simply immature. They are emotional drains with no bottom, and they are masters of distorting reality. They will deny things they said clearly. They will twist the sequence of events. They will accuse you of being too sensitive. Hold them responsible for something real, and they will suddenly become the victim, confused, hurt, betrayed by your unfairness. The cycle never ends. Blame, deflect, guilt trip, repeat. First, say to yourself what you would be. Then do what you have to do. Epictetus, Discourses. Epictetus taught that a wise person turns their examination inward first, always asking what they contributed before pointing outward. Someone who refuses all responsibility does the opposite. They guard their ego at the cost of your sanity and your grip on reality. The most destructive thing this dynamic does is make you doubt yourself. You begin apologizing simply to stop the storm. You start second-guessing your own memory, your own intentions, your own judgment. You carry emotional weight that was never yours to carry. And the longer you carry it, the more natural it begins to feel. That is when it becomes truly dangerous. The Stoic response is not to argue, not to demand an apology you will never receive. The response is to observe the pattern clearly, without emotional investment. Set boundaries that protect your reality. Stop accepting blame that does not belong to you. And understand this: a relationship with no accountability is not a partnership. It is a burden. Choosing distance from someone who always makes you the problem is not cruelty, it is self-preservation. There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people who only appear when they need something from you. Your time, your attention, your emotional labor, your advice, your money. When they are in crisis, you are suddenly invaluable. The messages come fast. The tone gets warmer. But the moment their storm passes, so does their interest. You are useful. You are not valued. These people are skilled at disguising the transaction. They frame it as needing guidance, as reaching out because you are the only one who understands, as just wanting to talk. But when you examine the pattern with an honest eye, do they check on you without needing something? Do they invest in your stability when they are not in chaos? Do they add to your life or only extract from it? Friendship is not possible between a man and one who is good for nothing. Seneca, Letters to Lucilius. Seneca was direct. True friendship requires mutual contribution to each other's virtue and well-being. Someone who appears only when they need relief is not offering you friendship. They are offering you a role, the role of their emotional caretaker, and they expect you to play it without asking for anything in return. The subtle poison in this dynamic is how it conditions you over time. You start answering every call out of guilt. You drop your own priorities to rescue theirs. You invest deeply in their chaos, while they invest nothing in your peace. And when you finally reach a moment of genuine need, they are unavailable, overwhelmed, unable to handle it right now. Observe behavior, not words. Limit your availability to those who only show up strategically, and remind yourself, with full Stoic clarity, that your peace, your time, and your energy are not unlimited. They are not owed to anyone. Someone who only knocks on your door when they want something is not choosing you. They are choosing what you can give them. A boundary is not a request. It is not a preference you are hoping they will consider. It is a line drawn from the core of your self-respect. And when someone consistently ignores it, mocks it, or argues you out of it, they are not misunderstanding you. They are testing you. And every time you let it slide, you confirm that the test is worth running again. These individuals have a reliable response to limits. They invalidate them. Relax. You're too sensitive. I was only joking. Can't you take a joke? Notice what is happening beneath those words. They are not addressing your discomfort. They are redirecting it back at you, making you the problem for having standards in the first place. Instead of adjusting their behavior, they try to adjust your perception of your own dignity. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Marcus Aurelius understood that dignity is demonstrated through action, not negotiated through endless justification. A boundary that must be explained 50 times is not being heard. It is being ignored deliberately, because respecting your limit would require them to prioritize your peace over their convenience, and they have already decided they won't. The pattern that develops is insidious. You begin softening your tone to avoid the argument. You tolerate behavior you know is wrong, because confronting it costs too much energy. You begin to believe that asking for basic respect makes you difficult, demanding, dramatic. Slowly, without realizing it, the relationship reshapes itself entirely around their comfort. You disappear from it, one compromise at a time. The Stoic approach is firm and requires no debate. You set the boundary once, clearly, calmly. Then you observe what follows. If they cross it, not once, not accidentally, but as a pattern, you withdraw access, your time, your attention, your emotional presence. You do not repeat yourself. You do not argue. Boundaries enforced by action are the only ones that mean anything. One of the most quietly devastating discoveries you will ever make is realizing that someone close to you does not actually want to see you win. They perform the reaction correctly when you share good news. The smile is there. The words sound right. But something in the air shifts. There's a stiffness, a slightly forced enthusiasm, a subtle but unmistakable dimming of the room. Envy never announces itself directly. It works through disguise. When something good happens to you, they downplay it or immediately compare it to someone else's greater achievement. When you talk about a new opportunity, they locate every reason it might fail. When you accomplish something real, they shift the conversation back to themselves, attach a personal struggle to your victory, or offer praise with a quiet poison of doubt attached. Their support has a ceiling, and that ceiling sits just below your actual potential. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. The Stoics taught that envy never originates in someone else's success. It originates in the envier's unresolved relationship with their own failure. Your progress exposes what they have been avoiding. Your confidence makes visible the self-doubt they have refused to confront. Your rise disturbs the story they have been telling themselves about why staying still is acceptable. The real danger is what this does to you over time. You start sharing less. You begin to filter your wins before speaking them out loud. You dim your own light in social situations to avoid the discomfort your progress creates in them. You make yourself smaller to protect their feelings, and then wonder why you feel invisible in your own life. The Stoic response is quiet and intentional. You do not argue with envy. You do not try to convince them to celebrate you. You guard your goals. You share your progress selectively. You surround yourself with people who rise beside you, not people who keep score. If someone's support evaporates the moment you start to ascend, believe what their silence is telling you. Pay attention to the version of yourself you become around certain people. If you rehearse your sentences before speaking them, if you calculate how each word might land, if you instinctively soften your truth before you say it out loud, you are not in a relationship. You are in a survival state. Walking on eggshells is not sensitivity. It is fear. And fear is not a foundation that belongs in any relationship that claims to care about you. These environments are created through subtle and often invisible mechanisms: guilt trips, unpredictable emotional reactions, passive aggression, sudden silence as punishment. Moments where your own vulnerabilities are turned into weapons. Their inconsistency keeps you permanently off balance. Their moods set the temperature for everything, and instead of managing their own interior world, they transfer that responsibility onto you. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus taught that the most destructive form of slavery is not external. It is emotional dependence on another person's moods and approval. When you cannot speak freely, disagree without fear, or express your own feelings without calculating consequences, you have handed over your autonomy. The version of you that exists in that relationship is not you. It is a performance designed to manage their volatility. Healthy relationships do not require you to perform. They do not punish you for having a thought that differs from theirs. Disagreement in a healthy dynamic is a conversation, not a detonation. Your feelings are not inconvenient. They are heard. Your honesty is not dangerous. It is invited. When none of that is true, you are not being loved. You are being managed. The Stoic path forward begins with courage. You observe what is happening without excusing it. You speak your truth, once, clearly and calmly. You stop making yourself smaller to preserve their comfort, and you allow distance to develop where fear has taken root. Because no peace worth having requires you to disappear to maintain it. There is a form of disrespect that does not need to raise its voice. It shows up late without apology. It cancels plans at the last moment and expects your understanding. It interrupts your work and dismisses your priorities, as though they are inconveniences standing in the way of what it actually wants, which is your full and immediate attention, on demand, whenever it decides to need it. This is not forgetfulness. It is entitlement. People who value you understand, at a fundamental level, that your time is your life. When they waste your time, they are wasting your life. They treat their schedule as sacred, their commitments as non-negotiable, and their needs as urgent, while expecting your schedule to remain permanently flexible and your commitments to hold no real weight. It is not that I am brave. It is that I think it shameful to waste so much time. Seneca, on the shortness of life. Seneca wrote with rare urgency about time, pointing out that most people guard their money with obsessive care, but surrender their hours without a second thought, even though time is the one thing that cannot be earned back. A person who consistently disregards your time is revealing, whether they know it or not, exactly how they see you. The hidden cost of this pattern is the slow erosion of your self-prioritization. You start rearranging your day to keep the peace. You drop commitments to accommodate their impulse. You apologize for being busy, for having goals, for having a life that extends beyond your availability to them. You shrink your world to fit inside theirs, and they keep living freely, unaffected, unbothered. The Stoic response requires no anger and no lengthy explanation. You stop over-explaining. You stop rearranging. You stop apologizing for the legitimate claims on your own time. You say, "I am not available. That does not work for me. I have prior commitments." And you say it with the calm authority of someone who has decided their hours are sacred. If they adjust, you have your answer. If they push back, you also have your answer. Sometimes the clearest sign does not come from what they say or do. It comes from how your body responds when they are simply not around. Pay attention to this with honesty. When you know you won't see them today, does something in you relax? When the interaction ends and they leave, does the air in the room feel different? Does your mind feel quieter, your chest lighter, your day somehow more yours again? That is not coincidence. That is not dramatic. That is your nervous system delivering you information that your conscious mind may not yet be ready to process. Peace is data. Relief is evidence. Your body knows the truth of a relationship long before your loyalty allows you to admit it. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Marcus Aurelius understood that the soul recognizes alignment and misalignment through feeling, through harmony and its absence. When someone's presence consistently creates disturbance, and their absence consistently creates restoration, the relationship is communicating its nature with perfect clarity. You do not need more evidence. You need the courage to believe the evidence you already have. The most self-destructive thing you can do is override this signal. Many people do, out of guilt, out of loyalty to shared history, out of the belief that enduring discomfort is the same as being strong. But loyalty to your past should never cost you your future. And enduring what harms you is not strength. It is habit disguised as virtue. The Stoic response is to trust what peace is telling you. You create distance without drama, without a formal announcement, without requiring closure. You honor your emotional reality without apologizing for it. You choose environments and people that help you remain aligned with who you are working to become. And you allow what is harmful to simply fade because you have stopped giving it the access it needs to survive in your life. Here is what all 8 of these signs come down to. Relationships are supposed to add to you. They are meant to bring clarity, not confusion. Growth, not guilt. Stability, not the kind of chaos that follows you home and sits quietly in your chest for hours after every interaction. When the people closest to you consistently cross your limits, dismiss your value, take without reciprocating, or make your presence in their life contingent on your willingness to shrink, that is not love, that is erosion. And erosion, if you allow it to continue long enough, doesn't just damage the surface, it hollows out the foundation. Stoic philosophy does not ask you to be cold, it asks you to be clear. Marcus Aurelius wrote that your mind is the most sovereign thing you possess, and it must be protected with the same seriousness you would bring to protecting anything sacred. Choosing to walk away from what damages your peace is not cruelty. It is the decision of someone who has stopped negotiating their worth with people who never intended to honor it. You have 8 signs now, 8 moments of clarity that tell you when a relationship has moved from meaningful to harmful. If any of them spoke to something real in your life, do not dismiss that recognition. Your instinct has been trying to protect you. Now it is time to let it. Move forward with clarity over guilt, Choose strength over outdated attachment. Choose peace over the performance of loyalty to relationships that no longer serve your growth. And remember this, distance never breaks something real. It only exposes what was never real to begin with. If this reached you, share it with someone who needs permission to finally choose themselves. Like the video, and leave a comment below. Tell me which sign hit you the hardest. I read every one.